Did you see that news clip?
If you enjoy the video, hit the like. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe.
Welcome to another episode of Clips of News, where I go over different news clips or articles that I found that I think are very interesting, and I just share them with you, the internet. So, with that being said, there has been, a lot of things going on in the world, not just in the financial world, but just, in general, with so many natural disasters and the everyday, the pandemic, and just the natural process of being alive and people dying. I came across this video from AJ, which is like a news program, an independent news program. I really like them. I think everybody should check them out. And I thought that, and they're talking about a green death, and I just thought that it was a really, really good video explaining a green death and what it's like to have a green death. And in which case, what that is, a green death, is actually, it just means to be buried naturally, to be buried and put into the earth naturally without the embalming fluid and the cement and all the chemicals. And why is this important? Well, this is important because, global warming, climate change, these things are real. Like, we're really destroying our planet. And, for people who don't believe in that, I live in Florida. We just had a wicked tornado hit Fort Myers. Like, that's a little abnormal with all the snow falling. Things are just getting outrageous when it comes to the weather. And it is very important that we pay attention to what's happening, not just with the weather, but with what our politicians are doing, what the corporations are doing, what we as individual people are doing. And we can impact climate change. We can impact global warming by not just simply our own individual choices, eating meat and not littering and, just using less water, but preserving our planet, not just with our own choices, but with our voices as well, by going out and voting, voting out politicians that are not okay with doing things for like renewable energy and cutting out fossil fuels and stopping the drilling and the destroying of our planet. And so, with that being said, watching this Green Death episode, it got me just thinking about how, death is a natural part of life. It's literally a natural part of life. I know a lot of people who don't even want to talk about dying. They don't want to talk about their mom dying or their dad dying. They just act like dying is like, nobody dies. But people die every day. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Your mom will die. Your dad will die. Everyone is going to die. Like, that is a natural part of life. It's literally one of the only guarantees in life other than paying taxes. But death is a promise. It will happen to all of us. So to pretend like it's not, or to pretend like, my mom dies, I don't know what I would do. You would keep living. That's what you would do. You would move on. If your kid dropped dead tomorrow, you would have to move on. Unless, of course, you are a very weak spiritual and emotional person, in which case suicide would be an option for you. I don't promote that, but if that's something that you choose, well, who am I to judge you and stop you? Nonetheless, let's move on with the process. So with the green death, as I was watching the video, I just thought it was really cool, and I just wanted to share the clip with you guys. It's about a 10-minute video. The link is in the description if you guys want to watch the whole thing. I just took little pieces of the video and compiled it into I want to say it's about a 4-minute clip, maybe 5 minutes, that we're just going to check out, and then I will go over some other stuff with you guys afterwards.
In the US, death often looks something like this. A person dies and their body is taken to a funeral home. They're either cremated or embalmed and laid to rest in a casket. The casket is then buried in a cemetery, usually in a concrete or metal vault designed to protect the integrity of the ground so the landscaping doesn't sink as materials underground break down. Urns, too, are often buried, also in vaults. These practices may be common, but they're not necessarily environmentally friendly. So, what does a greener death look like? And how can you help the earth after you die? Enter natural or green burials. Instead of filling bodies with chemicals and burying them in underground Cadillacs protected by vaults, people are buried directly in the ground in shrouds or biodegradable caskets. These are often made from raw pine, wicker, grass, paper, or bamboo. An entire market of natural death products is available. You can even be dissolved in water or have your body composted after you leave your mortal coil behind. So join us as we explore how death became toxic, the different ways people are greening death care, and how you can feed trees with your body after you die. Of course, big corporations are still responsible for the vast majority of global pollution, but just how much stuff is the funeral industry burying? Each year, the US uses 4.3 million gallons of embalming fluid. And just so we're clear, embalming fluid is a carcinogenic cocktail generally comprised of formaldehyde, methanol, ethanol, and phenol. Add to that an estimated 1.6 million tons of concrete, 20 million board feet of hardwood, 64,000 tons of steel, and 17,000 tons of copper and bronze. All of it is being sent to rot in the ecosystem underground. So if you're thinking you'd rather be cremated instead of buried, but gas-fired cremation is also harmful. The process emits more than 500 pounds of carbon dioxide per body and uses roughly as much energy as a 500-mile car trip. So what can you do? For those who spend their lives trying to mitigate their waste stream, what green options are there in death? Natural burials, in which you don't need chemicals, a casket, or a vault, are legal in all 50 states. You can be buried anywhere you have permission as long as you follow local guidelines. If you'd like someplace a little more formal, there are hundreds of green burial cemeteries around the world, including throughout the US. These facilities don't allow embalming, and everything that goes into the ground must be non-toxic and biodegradable. If burial isn't your thing, other options include human composting, also known as natural organic reduction, which is legal in Washington State, Oregon, and Colorado. According to the company Recompose, bodies are placed in a container with wood chips, alfalfa, and straw. No added heat is necessary. Microbes do all the work, even decomposing bones and teeth. A cubic yard of compost is created, which the family can donate to conservation projects, take home to fertilize their own gardens, or feed to their loved one's favorite tree. Human bodies make good fertilizer after all. Water cremation, or alkaline hydrolysis, is also legal in many states and countries. This process uses about 90% less energy than flame cremation, and the liquid byproduct can also be used as fertilizer. But what does all this cost? Price-wise, natural burials can be much cheaper than traditional burials because you're not paying for embalming, a vault, or an expensive casket. This is also a reason why green burials are often considered a kind of secret menu item at funeral homes. Experts say that funeral businesses and cemeteries often don't advertise these options because these services bring in less money, so you have to ask. But aside from being buried in your own yard, the cheapest form of disposition is likely still gas-fired cremation. Countless biodegradable products are available for burying ashes, often made from paper or other materials that easily break down. There are urns designed for sending ashes into the water or planting in the ground, and ocean lovers can even have their ashes made into a concrete reef, designed to build a habitat for coral.
So yeah, that's a clip from the AJ news story about a green death. In which case, I think it's very important that, for me, in everything I do, I try to remember that this is a spiritual life. We're all spiritual creatures in a physical body. You know what I'm saying? We're all spirits in a physical body, experiencing the physical realm, the physical life. So it's important that we keep that in mind, because in all spiritual texts, in all spirituality, it says the same thing. From the earth we came, and from the earth we shall return. In other words, you're born and you're made, and then you're going to die. And when you die, you will return back to the earth. So for me, it becomes, well, that's a green. Why do we cement ourselves and put ourselves in these steel concrete boxes? We might as well just drop my body into the dirt and turn me into a tree. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. In which case, this is exactly what I'm saying. When I die, I would like to be turned into a tree. Don't put me in the cement or none of that stuff. Turn me into a tree, preferably a weed tree, so you guys could then smoke me. You know what I mean? But it's fine. If anything, turn me into a fruit tree, maybe a banana tree, an apple tree. I don't know. Turn me into some type of plant, though, so that I can continue to live. My body will be of use. Anybody who personally knows me know I am big on usefulness and purpose. If you have no purpose and you have no use, then what are you here for? So I am big on that. In which case, when I die, I would like for my body, my physical body, to still be of use to the planet, to society. So that's one, why I'm an organ donor, and two, why I promote a green death. When you die, turn yourself into a tree. But along with dying, it's very important that not enough people have a will. You guys, everyone should have a will. Two types of will. You have a living will and then a regular will. A regular will is when you die, you allocate your assets and your riches, and you just tell them what you want to be done. So you would say to people, hey, when I die, let my kids go live with my cousin, blah, blah, blah. Or send my kids to go live with my aunt or my uncle or my brother or my sister or my mom or whoever. But you would tell them in your will where your children should go. You could write down, give my big screen TV to my cousin, give my house to so-and-so, give the money in my bank account to this person, give my life insurance money to that person. But you would just allocate your assets, your wealth, your whatever it is that you left behind. And then of course there's a living will, in which case that's used if you get into a crash and you end up in a coma, or some form of mental vegetation or retardation, whatever you want to call it. But basically you're unable to make conscious decisions for yourself for whatever reason. Maybe you've gone insane, maybe you, like I said, you hit your head and now you're in a coma, or you have amnesia, or you have some type of mental disorder where you're not able to make good decisions for yourself, conscious decisions for yourself, in which case you want to know that someone is going to take care of you, someone is going to do for you, or someone will do what it is that you ask them to do. Me personally, if I end up in a coma or a vegetable state of mind, I'd only want to be alive for maybe 5 years. After 5 years, if I'm still in a coma or I'm still a vegetable, let me go. Unplug me. Let me go. Let me die, and then turn me into a tree and move on with your life. Take the money and move on with your life. But a living will and a regular will is very important, and that also goes into life insurance. Everyone should have life insurance. Have life insurance not just on yourself, but on your kids, on your parents, because again, everyone thinks it can't happen to them. Oh, I'm not going to get into a car accident. Nobody's going to murder me. No one's going to rape me. No one's going to kidnap me. No one's going to, my kid can't die because, parents bury their kids. Kids don't, kids bury their parents. Parents don't bury their kids. But that's not true. Children die all the time. You know what I mean? And again, what are you going to do? Are you just going to lay down and stop living life? No, you're going to keep going. You have to. You're going to move on with life, because that's how it works. Will you grieve? Of course, you're going to be sad for a long time because your kid is dead, or your mom is dead, or whatever, whoever the person is, they're dead. But you will move on, because that's the way that life works. You have to keep going. So I think a will, a living will, and life insurance is very, very important. But not only that, it's important that we talk about it, that we express it, we tell other people, not just one person, but many people, so that everyone can know, Joseph always wanted to be turned into a tree. Joseph had life insurance. So Joseph's dead now, but I know for a fact he had life insurance. He told me about it. He had 2 life insurance plans. Let's go look for those paperwork. Let's find his life insurance. Let's find where that money is. Joseph always wanted his kids to go with, his favorite cousin. That's where his kids belong. No, he doesn't want his kids to go with his mom, or he doesn't want his kids to go with his sister. He wants his kids to go to this person. Let's send his kids to that person. So I just think it's very, very important that we have a will, we have a living will, we have life insurance, and we tell people about it. We explain it to other people. Everyone knows this is what's going to happen when I die. Even better if you can buy your own plot of land for where you want to be buried, because you can actually do that as well. So it's just something to think about, something that not enough people talk about, but it needs to be talked about. It needs to be thought about. And I like the green death also, because cemeteries kind of suck, to be honest with you. There's like no birds, there's no animals, there's literally nothing in a cemetery. It's like just some, it's like nothing. It's boring, it's crap. It's like nobody wants to go to these places. So to me, it makes more sense for the green death, because it's like these are beautiful landscapes. There's trees, there's bushes, there's rabbits, there's birds chirping. Like I would want to go there. I would want to go to a place where there's life, even though in that place there's also death. Because at the end of the day, there's death everywhere. Every piece of land that we're living on, every building that's been built is built on death. You know what I mean? You got to remember, there were slaves, there were Indians, there were Native Americans to this territory. People died everywhere on this land. So death is everywhere. Death is a natural part of life. Trees die, plants die. The food you're eating had to die in order for you to consume it and use its energy. So death is a natural part of our existence. It should be embraced. And I just wanted to make this video on that. And I'm praying for all of us, man, for all of our success, and that all of us may die a peaceful death. Hopefully not in tragedy and hurt and in grief. And that we can all process and understand when our loved ones die. I have personally dealt with death many a times since I was young, and even now into my older age, more people are dying. And as I get older, more people that I care about are going to die, and that's just something that I have to live with and I have to deal with. And I try to teach my children to deal with death and to understand it's a natural part of life. It's not something to avoid talking about, to be ashamed of talking about, you know. And just remember the people that have died, and let's remember to pray for them as well, because when you die, you can no longer repent and ask for forgiveness. And, you know, our Heavenly Father will judge all of us on the day of judgment. So may He forgive all of our sins and all the sins of those that have died and can no longer pray for themselves. And let's all remember, man, we all out here trying to do the same thing, guys. Survive life and just be happy. Y'all stay blessed.